She was a loving mother, a respected nurse, and a woman who had saved countless lives, but one day she took a life, her own son's. Because of a secret that shattered everything she believed in. And in the eyes of many, she didn't commit a crime, she delivered justice. This is the story of Margaret Evans, a 56-year-old nurse from Illinois. A woman who spent her life caring for the sick, until one night, she made a decision that would change her life forever. A decision that ended in blood, tears, and silence. And what she discovered, no parent should ever have to face. The sun was rising over a small town in Springfield, Illinois. Birds chirped, cars slowly rolled past, and neighbors waved good morning like every other day. Inside a small brick house at the end of Maple Street, 56-year-old Margaret Evans was getting ready for work. She had been a nurse for over 30 years, widowed for 12 years, and living alone with her 29-year-old son Nathan Evans, the only child she had after years of fertility struggles. She brewed her coffee like always, but this morning, her hands were shaking. Margaret loved Nathan. She really did. She raised him alone, took double shifts, skipped meals, even worked night shifts just to pay his school fees. It started when Margaret noticed strange behavior from kids in the neighborhood. One day, the 7-year-old boy from next door ran into Margaret's arms crying. She asked what was wrong. He whispered, "Nathan touched me." She froze. Her heart stopped. She told him to go home. She didn't believe it. But days passed, and then 2 more kids came to her. Different kids. Same story. Margaret didn't call the police right away. She couldn't. This was her son. Her only son. The child she prayed for. She started digging, searching Nathan's room while he was at work. She found a small camera, hidden under his bed. Inside the camera's SD card were videos. Videos that made her stomach turn. Videos that showed what no mother should ever see. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat on her couch in the dark, holding the camera. Crying. Praying. Asking why. When Nathan walked in that night around 11:30 p.m., she asked him to sit. He noticed her tears and asked what was wrong. Margaret said quietly, "I know what you did." Nathan stood frozen. Silent. She stood up, walked to her purse, and pulled out a kitchen knife. He laughed. "You're gonna call the cops? After everything I've done for you?" He stepped forward. But she didn't flinch. And then, 1, 2, 3 stabs. Right in the chest. He gasped. He didn't scream. He just collapsed. Margaret dropped the knife and fell beside him, crying, holding his body like she did the day he was born. The neighbors heard nothing. The next morning, she walked into the police station and confessed. "I killed my son," she whispered. They didn't believe her at first. But she handed over the SD card. The footage. The evidence. Everything. She was arrested. Charged with second-degree murder. But the courtroom wasn't angry. They were silent. Many of the parents in that courtroom had known Nathan. Their kids had played with him. Some had suspicions, but never proof. Margaret sat there, crying, never looking up. Her lawyer told the court she had spent her life saving lives. She had reported what she found. But her emotions got the better of her. Psychologists said she had a temporary dissociative episode, a state of shock triggered by trauma. The jury was torn. Some called her a hero. Others called her a murderer. But after 3 long days, the verdict came. Guilty. But no prison time. She was given a full pardon by the governor, based on mental health grounds and exceptional emotional circumstances. The judge said, "Sometimes justice is messy. And sometimes, justice looks like a mother doing what the system failed to do." Now, Margaret lives alone in a halfway house outside of Chicago. She doesn't speak much. She doesn't smile. Every now and then, she visits the gravesite where her son lies. But she never brings flowers. Just silence. We saw a mother cross the unthinkable line. But as police began to dig deeper into Nathan's past, they uncovered something even more disturbing. A trail of silence, protection, and cover-ups. And it started years ago. Detectives pulled Nathan's school files. He was suspended twice in high school. Both times for inappropriate behavior with younger students. The documents were heavily redacted. One teacher's report read, "We suspect Nathan may be preying on vulnerable children, but administration advised we close the file." Because his uncle, Ronald Evans, was a school board member at the time, he pushed for the incidents to be handled internally. The cases disappeared. After Margaret's arrest hit the news, more people came forward. An older woman who lived 2 doors away told police she once saw Nathan drag a boy into the basement when he was 17. She heard screaming. She called the police back then, but they never came. Turns out, her call was logged, but the report was closed as a false alarm. Because the officer assigned to the case, Officer Rick Denvers, was a family friend of Nathan's father, now deceased. Everything was being covered up. When police searched Nathan's laptop, they didn't just find personal videos. They found folders labeled tests, pics, safe, trade. Inside were hundreds of photos. Not all taken by Nathan. Some came from other IP addresses, other homes. Detectives now suspected a network of offenders operating in their community. A group that exchanged images like trading cards. And Nathan was just one part of something bigger. At least 9 children were identified in the footage. One 8-year-old girl named Amelia was the daughter of a local pastor. She had stopped speaking completely. A therapist shared, with permission from the family. She would draw pictures of a man with no face. She said he came from the basement, and he told her, "If you speak, your mom will die." Another child drew a house. It was Margaret's house. Town meetings exploded with anger. Mothers cried. Fathers yelled. Someone shouted, "We trusted him around our kids." Someone else yelled, "Why didn't the police act sooner?" But the most chilling moment was when Detective Jones said, "There are more names. People who helped him. People who knew. And were coming for them." Margaret was asked to speak to investigators about what she might have seen or known. She refused. She simply said, "I already said what I had to say. The rest is on them." Some say she was protecting someone. Some say she knew about the network, but couldn't face it. One name came up in Nathan's private messages more than any other. Jack. No last name. No face. Just messages like, "Keep them quiet. Trade when safe. The nurse will never know." But who is Jack? Police are still searching. Nathan is gone. Margaret is free. But the damage lives on. And in the shadows of this small town, someone else is still out there. We followed the story of Margaret Evans, a nurse who did the unthinkable. But what if Nathan was just a puppet, and someone else was pulling the strings? In this episode, we hunt down the name that appeared 27 times in the files, Jack. Detectives handed Nathan's laptop to a cybercrime unit. Within hours, they tracked a series of encrypted chats between Nathan and someone named Jack_87. They used code words. Playground equals child. Snack equals photo/video. Nurse equals Margaret. Storm equals police. The last message sent from Jack said, "Storm is here. Trash the nurse." Investigators traced the username to an old gaming forum and a P.O. box in Peoria, Illinois. But when they arrived, the box had been closed 8 years ago. No real name attached. But inside the forum, they found a comment from 2015. "Miss working in schools. Kids were easier to talk to." Police reopened school staff records from 1998 to 2009. They found a man named Jack Taylor. He worked as a volunteer counselor at a local elementary school. He was never officially hired, just volunteered often. He stopped showing up in 2010, same year Nathan graduated high school. But here's what's chilling. Jack Taylor was also the cousin of Margaret's late husband. Which means, Margaret knew him. Officers visited Margaret again. They asked, "Did you know a Jack Taylor?" She looked away. "Jack? I haven't heard that name in over 15 years. They asked, "Was he close to your son?" Her hands started shaking. "Nathan used to call him Uncle Jack, but I thought he was just a family friend. I never let him babysit." The detective pressed. "Did he ever go in your basement?" Silence. Margaret whispered, "One time. Just once. Nathan was 12. Detectives now believed Jack was Nathan's abuser, which meant Nathan didn't start the abuse. He was a victim first. They found a hidden journal in Nathan's closet, tucked inside a hollow Bible. In it, Nathan had written, "Jack showed me how to keep secrets. Jack said if I tell, Mom will go to jail. Jack said hurting others is the only way to heal." Chilling. Nathan was both a monster and a broken child. With this new discovery, the case was handed over to the FBI. They reopened a missing persons file from 2006. A 10-year-old boy named Caleb Morgan went missing in Peoria. Last seen, leaving an after-school program where Jack Taylor volunteered. The case was cold. Until now. In Nathan's hard drive, the FBI found a photo. It was grainy. 3 boys. One of them looked like Caleb. Another was Nathan, age 13. The third? The man holding the camera, seen faintly in the reflection of a mirror. He fit the age, build, and bald head of Jack Taylor. As of today, Jack Taylor is still missing. The FBI has issued a nationwide warrant. Some say he changed his name. Others believe he fled the country years ago. But one detective believes he's still nearby. Predators like Jack don't run far. They blend in. They smile at your kids. They stand behind you in grocery stores. They coach your child's team. But we will find him. In a federal office in Illinois, the FBI pinned 3 towns on a board. Springfield, where Nathan lived. Peoria, where Jack volunteered. East Belleville, 90 miles away, a town with 4 open abuse cases from the early 2000s. Each case involved young boys between the ages of 7 and 12. Each case had a disappearing counselor. Each file listed the same detail. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, victims were familiar with suspect. And in 2 of the reports, a name appeared again. Jack T. While the FBI scrambled for leads, a call came from Claymore State Prison. An inmate, Eric Doyle, was requesting to speak. He was serving 18 years for unrelated charges. But what he said next flipped the case. We called him the Collector. He ran a group. Said we were cleaning up damaged kids. I didn't know what that meant at the time. But I saw things, photos, DVDs. Some had the name Evans scribbled on them. I thought it was a code. Now I know it was a name. He claimed Jack led a hidden online ring. He also gave the FBI 4 usernames. Zoduck45, Playclean, Jane_Master, Silk House 72. 3 of those names were already on Nathan's laptop. Investigators returned to Margaret's home. They removed part of the wall paneling in the basement, and behind it was a locked metal box. Inside were several tapes and an old cell phone. The videos were blurred and silent, but the backgrounds showed 3 different houses. One was Margaret's. The other 2? Traced to abandoned rental properties owned by a man named Donnie Clarks. Donnie was a former school janitor. He had worked in Peoria, Belleville, and Springfield. Every town Jack had ties to. Margaret was brought back in. They asked if she remembered Donnie Clarks. She looked stunned. He used to come by and fix stuff. Said he was sent by the district. I didn't ask questions. He'd be in the house when Nathan was home from school. She never questioned it. Never thought it odd. But that was 15 years ago. She broke down. Did I bring the devil into my house? Did I let them turn my son into this? Donnie Clarks was arrested at a truck stop in Indiana. In his van were photos, a notebook with names and ages. One name was circled in red. Nathan Evans, trainer. Donnie confessed to being the recruiter. He said Jack picked the boys, and Nathan trained them. But even Donnie didn't know where Jack was now. He vanished. Just like that. Told me one day, if I go dark, don't come looking. Agents recovered more laptops. More footage. More names. Victims from as far as Ohio and Tennessee. But Jack's trail went cold again. Each name revealed more pain. More lives torn. But one thing is now clear. Nathan wasn't the beginning. He was just the middle. Jack had been building this network for decades. And someone, somewhere, was still protecting him. They told me he was born perfect. But monsters, they're not always born. Sometimes they're made. After Donnie Clark's arrest, the FBI retrieved one final phone from his glove compartment, cracked and dusty, but not destroyed. Inside, there was one video file, only 12 seconds long. A blurry shot of a room, a desk, a nameplate. Deputy Sheriff W. Harrell. Rewind. The voice off camera says, "Everything clean, Wayne?" A reply. "Clean enough. Just make sure it disappears like the last one." That video was dated January 7, 2016. A full year before the first missing child case in Belleville. Wayne Harrell was a long-serving sheriff's deputy in Belleville, Illinois. He was known for being great with kids. He ran youth programs, helped with local Boy Scouts, and even worked with family courts during child custody cases. He was seen as a protector. But when the FBI raided his office, they found an external hard drive hidden inside the ceiling, a burner phone with dozens of encrypted texts, and most disturbing of all, a file folder labeled JT Backup. Inside that folder, handwritten notes, photos, and a list of 9 addresses, all homes where abused children had lived. When the FBI informed Margaret about Wayne Harrell's arrest, she collapsed in silence. She remembered the name. He had once come to her house to check in when Nathan was 15, saying there were rumors of Nathan being bullied at school. "I thought he was trying to help," she whispered. He asked to see Nathan's room. Stayed there for almost 30 minutes. "I made coffee." "I didn't think." Margaret never saw him again after that visit. But Nathan started withdrawing soon after. The FBI revealed what they had feared all along. This was not just Jack Taylor. This was a network. At least 5 men now confirmed. Roles included Jack, recruiter and ringleader; Nathan, trained victim turned predator; Donnie, cleaner and cameraman; Wayne Harrell, law enforcement contact. An unknown 5th, known only by the initials RG. They operated under a code name. The Window Project. The meaning? Still unclear. Just when things started to stall again, a message was sent to a victim's mother. An anonymous email. No subject. The body said, "Your son was one of the brightest." It was never personal. Just part of the window. You should be proud. Attached was a photo. It was taken recently. A group of children in a parking lot. Zoom in. Standing far in the background was a man with a cap and sunglasses. Using enhanced filters, AI technology, and FBI facial scans, the results were 93% matched to Jack Taylor. The location? Nashville, Tennessee. But just as the team prepared to move, Wayne Harrell was found dead in his jail cell. The parents' suicide. No surveillance footage due to a malfunction. The files in his office? Gone. And a key witness? Donnie Clark's, suddenly claimed amnesia after a fall in custody. Too many coincidences. Too many loose ends. And the man at the center, still free. On one page, the words, "I didn't want to be like them." She whispers, "I know you didn't, baby. I know." He could be anywhere. And the people we trust the most could be helping him stay hidden. Agents set up surveillance at 3 potential locations. A daycare Jack was seen near. A public library where encrypted emails were traced. A small rented home under a fake name, Charles Little. After 2 weeks, they had enough. CCTV from the daycare showed a man, gray beard, limp on left leg, matching the AI model of Jack Taylor. He picked up a child, then vanished down a side alley. Agent Dana Reese volunteered to go undercover. She posed as a preschool teacher at a community center linked to the daycare. Within days, a man named Charlie came to volunteer. Quiet, helpful, smiled too much. One day, he approached Dana and said, "You remind me of someone I used to know, a nurse." Dana froze. No one at the center knew about Margaret. It was him. The FBI prepared for a quiet arrest. On March 14th at 7:45 a.m., agents stormed the rented home. They found a computer, fried and melted in the microwave. Documents burned in the sink. Photos, hundreds, shredded. And Jack? Gone. On the wall was a message in marker. "You're always too late. Just like you were with Nathan." Under it, a drawing of a broken window. The symbol of the Window Project. An internal leak was confirmed. Someone inside the agency was tipping Jack off. The mole? Agent Thomas Keel, a 19-year veteran. When interrogated, he broke. They promised my son would be spared. I just wanted him to be safe. I didn't know what they were planning. I didn't know they'd kill the kid from Ohio. He confessed to deleting leads, rerouting agents, and delaying warrants. He was arrested. But Jack had already disappeared again. Margaret heard the news on TV. She didn't cry. She simply turned off the screen, sat by the window, and whispered, "He wins again." She hadn't spoken in public for months. But that night she wrote a letter. To all the mothers who've buried their children without a body. I'm sorry. I tried to stop it. But monsters wear human skin. And justice doesn't come for everyone. She never mailed the letter. The next morning, Margaret was found unconscious, with empty pill bottles on the floor. She was pronounced dead at 6:22 a.m. 2 days after Margaret's death, the FBI received an email. No sender. No subject. Just a link to a private video. Jack was sitting in a dark room. Behind him, nothing but shadows. He said calmly, "You don't understand yet. You chase evil like it's a man in handcuffs. But it's an idea. A system. A disease. I didn't create it. I just operated in it. Nathan was just one of many. And now, you've buried the only person who ever tried to stop me." He smiled. "I'll see you soon." The video ended. The IP address? Bounced from 5 different countries. Untraceable.